Alright, YouTube, it is Mr. Mean coming at you this October 1st, 2020. I hope everyone is doing well. It is Thursday night. The wife is in bed. The baby is in bed. And it's just me and you, baby. I hope everyone is doing well. Let's get a couple shout outs out of the way. I like to do this. The channel's growing. I think we're up to 753 or 55 subscribers. So thank you guys. As I always say, there is no me without you. So first is Guillermo Robles and then Keebler Bauros. Thank you guys for subscribing. 2 new subscribers. I hope you enjoy the channel. You like the Talking Head Syndrome and you like going over games and talking about them. As always, like and subscribe. At the end of the video, I'll do my little pitch for my Patreon and all that fun stuff. But thank you to Guillermo and Keebler. Awesome for you guys to subscribe. Good to see Fajuk is checking out my videos, and he gave me a nice shout out in his video, so that was super cool. So thank you very much, Fajuk. That was awesome. And other than that, let's get into it, guys. As you can see on the screen here, we've got Against the Darkmaster, the classic game of fantasy adventure. 4 rules, or core rules. I didn't back this on Kickstarter. I got into it late. And I actually found the Discord channel first, and that's what led me to this. And I don't even remember how I found it or where it came from, but it caught me because it reminded me of Harn and Rollmaster from back in the day. And I wasn't big into Rollmaster, although at the time Rollmaster had the license for Lord of the Rings, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but I couldn't get into it. We used to call it Chartmaster. Because it had all these charts, and Harn did too, but for some reason I just had this. I liked Harn. I don't know what it was about it, but I really dug it, and I still do, and I wish I had all the books, but I don't. It was a cool game. We played it a couple times and never got as far into it as I would like, but we get to relive it all over and again because Against the Darkmaster by I forgot the guys. We'll see their name here in a minute, but we're going to go through the PDF real quick. Open-ended Games, that's who's doing it, and this is as far as I'm concerned, this is an homage to those older games, but it's a percentage based, basically a D100 game, and it's phenomenal, guys. I've read through it. The character creation is very solid. I say it's not as crunchy as a 2D20 game. A lot of people complain that like Conan or John Carter, Warlord of Mars, or my ever-loving favorite Mutant Chronicles are super crunchy. I don't think so. I've been running Mutant Chronicles, for over 20 years in its various iterations, and I just ran it last weekend, and we had a blast. We made characters. There's a character builder online, and I made characters for the players, and we did like kind of a one-shot, and they loved it. So I think it's just a matter of taste. I don't mind a certain amount of crunch in my games. Cubicle 7's Lord of the Rings wasn't for me. I didn't like it. I tried really hard, but I couldn't get into it. It just didn't spark with me. It's a fine game. I have nothing against it. Same thing with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I like some of the changes they made, but some of the changes they made I don't like. And so I'll stick with my Green Ronin version of Warhammer. It's to me the most fun. Rules versus crunch versus playability. I think the Green Ronin version of Warhammer is there. But this is not a dissertation on what games Mr. Mean likes and doesn't like. This is a flip through of the Kickstarter reward. I was a late backer, and so I was able to back it, and I got the GM screen, the starting adventure, and the core rulebook. And I gotta say, guys, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I've only read through the character creation. I'm going to run this next Friday, not tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Pathfinder, but the following Friday is I'm only going to have 2 players. So I promised them something different, and they're down for it. So I think we're going to actually make characters, and we're going to give this a shot, and I might even try to run the opening adventure if I can find some time to read. I'm going to readjust my mic here. and get that a little more situated. So hopefully you didn't hear too much rattling noise. I've been playing around with iMovie a little bit, so I'm not sure if I'm going to port this over to the Mac. I record on my PC laptop. It's an HP ZBook. It's pretty herky, and it's a great platform. But I really like the stuff that I can do with iMovie and stuff like that. So I haven't decided yet. It's a little late, and I'm getting tired. So tonight it's just going to be record, and then tomorrow I'll work on editing and posting this. But yeah, as you can see there, I'm not going to read all the credits and stuff, but you can see who's done it and everything. They've done a great job with this. The layout is phenomenal. The classic game of fantasy adventure is a trademark of open-ended games. So yeah, and they're out of New York. So American made, very much Italian, or I would say, yeah, that's Italian. So Tommaso Galmacci, Rich Longmore, Geraldo Mussolini, so Italian, Spanish, but it's based out of New York, open-ended game. So as you can see, it's black and white art. I think the book's weighing in at a whopping 420 plus pages. There's a character sheet and everything in here as well. They actually, before we get too deep in it, one of the things I will say is these guys on their Discord did an amazing job of listening to their fan base and what they wanted. A lot of players or backers had mentioned that the character sheet was horrible, and to try and make a character with that character sheet was painful. So these guys reached out, and I forgot the young lady's name. It's you can go on the Discord channel and you can see it, and I think they give props to her in the book. Character sheet, Amber Seeger, and she did a 2-part YouTube video on where she actually went through the process of creating the character sheet and what she likes to see. So she's never played the game. She's played a couple of role-playing games before, and she's an I don't want to say an illustrator, but she's a designer, or whatever her platform of choice is. But she went through this and she ripped it apart, put it all back together again, and I think the character sheet is amazing. And she did a knock-up job, and you can watch the creative process of how she went through making a character and making notes on the current character sheet before the one that's in this book. This is the early playtest copy. There will be revisions and stuff like that to this. In fact, they've already done one update so far, which I just downloaded today, and I believe it's this version. It may not be, though. I may not have got it up off of my drive-thru or whatever. But they did a successful Kickstarter. Obviously, there's enough fans out there of Rolemaster that they wanted to see this happen, and those old D100 games. And I'm telling you, from what I've seen, this is a buy in my book. Especially just the art alone and the inspiration that it'll give you. The character creation is, I think, pretty awesome. So we're just going to flip through. We're not going to go through the entire book, but we've got our table of contents here. Everything we need, and they really do a great job of breaking the book down, and then a word for our backers, so they tell you really cool stuff like that. And this is a dime a dozen. Everybody's doing this now, but I think it means a lot. And who doesn't like seeing their name in print as a backer? And I don't even know if my name's in here because I did after the Kickstarter. They had a special bundle. I think it was like $100, and they got you the adventure, the GM screen, and the core book. So I was like, why not? So content is king, right? And it's going to look really amazing on my shelf because I dig the cover. So yeah, there's all your backers, which I think is super cool. And then there's your first splash page of decent art. And if that doesn't harken back to Larry Elmore and all the greats, I don't know, man. That's perfect. We've got our 2 warriors. We've got a dwarven warrior. We've got a halfling. We've got 2 humans in the background, and of course a dragon and an angry volcano, and what apparently could be the Darkmaster's lair there on the right in the foreground of the volcano, and then of course there's a goblin or something down here. So just fantastic black and white art, and all the art in the book is striking. I haven't run into one piece of art that I didn't like. Let's go. That is basically their representation of the Darkmaster. The Darkmaster is obviously played by the GM, and it is an overwhelming evil force that wants to put the world into chaos and ruin and take over. And so the player characters, aka the heroes of the story, are trying to defeat him and all of his mechanizations. So the fiction in here, what little bit there is pretty awesome. They do give, through character creation, they give some great examples of building your character. I didn't find anything where I was scratching my head going, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And again, the art is plentiful in the book, and it's all very consistent. I didn't look at who the artist was, but I'm telling you, it's magnificent. So here we have Against the Darkmaster. It's telling you the setting, good versus evil. The players are heroes. This is not a game where you want to play evil. Then again, there's another representation of our Darkmaster. And, it's super cool, man. You can't beat this. The art is fantastic. And magic is rare, that kind of thing. The gods watch from afar, and heroism and hope. So they do a really good job of setting the tone. You are a hero. You're going to go out and you're going to do amazing things. You are going to be the stuff of legends and what people talk about. Or you're going to die horribly. Most likely you're probably going to die horribly, but there's always that hope. And it strikes me as a game it's going to be kind of, I don't want to say grimdark, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be a game where you have to make smart decisions. It's a percentage-based system. Rolling high is better. Rolling low is bad, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me in the chat, and I better get my crap together because I've got to run this tomorrow night. So I'll be doing some more reading when I get off work tomorrow. I have a couple hours before our actual game session, or next week. Tomorrow night is Pathfinder. So I've got another week basically to prep, and I'm looking forward to it. We're going to go through and make characters, but they give you a nice couple of sources of inspiration, which I really like, kind of telling you where they got it. And then they're heavy metal, and they give some cool references to heavy metal when you're trying to come up with stuff for like your background and your purpose and stuff. They're like, take your favorite line from your heavy metal song and, throw it in there. So really cool. But again, staggering art. These guys look like they've got a purpose. They are going out there to kick ass. And I love the fact that it's not a chainmail bikini. She's wearing leather armor, it appears, and she's prepared to kick ass. And yet she's still feminine. She's obviously an elf with the pointy ears, and she's attractive, but she doesn't have to show a ton of cleavage in her crotch. So I'm a big fan of that. I'm really tired of the bikini, chainmail bikini concept in fantasy art. So it's good to see that they don't have it there. They do go through and tell you this is an open-ended roll, unmodified rolls, D10s, D5s. It's all you need is a set of percentage dice and maybe a couple extra D10s if you don't like rolling your percentage dice for your damage dice and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much all you need. And then we dive right into character creation. There's 7 steps. Generate your stats. They give you 2 different ways. You can roll, or you can distribute 50 points between your stats, minimum of 5, maximum of 25. Then you choose your kin and your culture. And what's neat about this, and where some people might find this a little crunchy, is there's not so much as many charts in this as I thought there would be. Now, when you get into combat and spells and things like that, then there's charts for your critical success and your critical fumble and all that, which makes sense. It's that kind of game that, it's very descriptive in what you do and how you do it. But the character creation, it wasn't a whole lot of charts. There's just a bunch of choices to be made, and I like that character creation process. Mutant Chronicles does that. Conan does that from Modiphius, and I really like that. You kind of feel like you have a little bit of choice when you make your character. and you know, you can generate your 6 values, or you can use the point buy system. It's totally up to you. And then again, like I was saying, you use your kin and your culture, which is basically you make a choice. You choose your kin. Are you a dwarf? Are you an elf? What type of elf? Because there's several different varieties. Are you an orc or a half orc? You know, and so on and so forth. So you make all these choices, and they give you stat bonuses. And so what will happen is at the end of character creation, you're going to have a very well-rounded character with enough room for you to make choices for things that make you unique as to who and what you are. Just like 99% of all the other role-playing games out there, you know, they leave a little bit of choice up to you, but they give you a definite starting position and point you in the right direction. So after your kin and culture, you have your vocation. It's basically your job. And you distribute your development points to buy your skills. And then they walk you through that process. It's very cut and dry, very simple. And of course, as always, in any kind of system like this, you never have enough points to get everything you want. So there's room to grow, because that's the whole point of it. It's a role-playing game. You're supposed to develop over time and become better at the things you do and learn new things. So, you know, you could be a one-trick pony. You can definitely go through this and min-max and, you know, make a beast of a melee fighter, or an awesome, you know, archer, or an incredibly powerful mage. You can totally do that, but in my opinion, that takes away some of the fun, unless your group is about the min-max. And there are groups out there that do that. I personally don't find it fun, but I do like to make a competent character with foibles, with flaws, and this system gives you that ability. So then you choose your background and your equipment, what you did before you became an adventurer, because everybody did something. You know, whether it was growing up on a farm, or being a blacksmith, you know, or being a rogue's apprentice, whatever, a mage's apprentice. So you have some options there. Then you choose your background. You get a couple of background options, and you get these points, and you can spend these points. I think it's in denominations of 1 and 5. And so you can choose these backgrounds that will help mold your character and give you some little minor boost for everything that you take. And then, of course, your gear and your possessions, which will be laid out as well. And then you choose your passions, and that's where they talk about grab your favorite heavy metal song and just rip a line out of there. You know, so you choose your passions. There's a whole section on it and kind of breaks it down. You calculate your derived attributes, which is pretty simple. It's basic math. And then you name your character, and boom, you are ready to go. And so it goes through the stats: brawn, swiftness, fortitude, wits, wisdom, and bearing. And then you break them down. They give you a couple of different options on how to generate your stats, how to pick them. Like you can do the rule of 12, where you roll 12 set of stats, and you pick the 6 best from each column. So you roll it 12 times, and then you pick, you know, 6 best from each one. So it kind of breaks it down for you and gives you a little bit better ability. But you can see the art is phenomenal. Here's our first major chart. This is the kin modifiers. And it's a table. It's not a chart, because there's nothing to roll on. But this tells you, you know, if you say, I want to play a dwarf, but what's the difference between a dwarf and a star elf? You can look on here and see the bonuses that you're going to get, and, you know, maybe define how you want to make your character. So that's your kins, you know, in Stole Troll and Furbolgs. Half orc, Stone Troll, and Furbolg are kind of the weird ones out there. You've got your wild folk, which are kind of like your barbarians, or low man. You have high man, which, you know, is your Dunedain, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. So definitely pretty cool. So here's all your kin modifiers, and they like I said, they walk you through the process. Your willpower save roll and your toughness save roll. Those two threw me off until I got to this page, because I didn't know what a TSR and a WSR was. And it's been years since I've even seen a Rollmaster book. I don't even own one. So Harp. I was saying Harn earlier. I apologize. Harp. Harp was a derivative of Rollmaster. So, and we used to call it Chartmaster. And Harp was Harp chart. We used to make fun of it. So anyway, I apologize. Like I said, I'm slightly fatigued because I've had a very long day at work. But I wanted to get this video out because I was really excited about this. I really love the layout and the look of this book. I can't wait to get the physical book in my hands. So there you go. Your wealth level, your BPs are your background points, and those are what let you flesh out your character at the end. And then of course your starting wealth, and then you put it all together by choosing one of these kin. So you've got man, high man, dwarf, and of course each race has some awesome art to go along with it. So just amazing art. I can't praise them enough for their art. So we go all through the races. So there's your wild men, basically, and then orcs. And those scream Lord of the Ring orcs to me, but what do I know? And then your half orc, stone troll, a male and a female, and then your furbolg, which are basically giant kin. So they are pretty badass looking, if you ask me, and they have horns. So yeah, they're pretty crazy looking. And then it goes through your cultures, and again, there's a chart, and then all your information, all your different areas that you can grow up in. They do a great job, man. This is laid out. The art is phenomenal. And it's just, everything's there. Marauding is one of the cultures. Cultures give you certain abilities and everything. So the woad, primitive and barbaric, so outfit, choose one of each, and they tell you what you can choose. Starting wealth is 0 because these guys are basically, barbarians. And then the last one is marauding. And then there's what appears to be an orc, and a poor unfortunate. It appears to be either an elf, some sort of elf, or a half elf. But oddly enough, he's probably seen better days. And then we go into vocations, and so it goes all through. The wizard. The art again is fantastic. An animist, champion, which I really like. Dabbler, which is your summoner, basically kind of dealing with the bad things in the world, but not necessarily. And then we go into skills, and again, phenomenal art. All your skills, everything that you would expect in combat, and in your lores, arcana, standard, challenging. These are rolls that you would make and what you would add or subtract to your die roll. So all the skills, specialty skills, dual weapons, all this fun stuff. A great 2-page piece of art there. Backgrounds again. And there you can see there's your minor tier or your major tier for your background, and it gives you, like, if you choose a rogue mage, you have an innate magical ability, and you'll go to that section, you'll read up on it, and it'll tell you a little bit more. So lots of cool stuff, lots of just in-depth information, and again, I don't think it's overly complex. I read through it. I'm gonna probably later on next week or over the weekend, I'm gonna try to belt out a character, probably a mage, or a dabbler, basically, to just get a feel for the character creation system. But the art is amazing. It's the layout is crisp. It's clear. Even with these old eyes, I don't have a problem reading this. I've taken my glasses off to avoid the glare, but just really well done. They did a great Kickstarter. I read nothing but positive things on the Kickstarter. They've been very transparent throughout the whole thing. I don't believe there's been too many delays, and I think they're doing this proof basically to get any feedback or anything for any typos or any spelling errors or any glaring rules omissions or anything that doesn't make sense, and then they're going to go to print, and hopefully we'll have our books by early next year, maybe even later, in time for Christmas. I don't think it's going to be in time for Christmas. I think we won't physically see the product until 2021. But here they go through a character creation recap of, I think, this guy right here. And it's really well done. That's the character right there. She's an elf. And yeah, they go through it. They lay it all out. It's written clear and concise. You can read everything. And that's basically the character sheet. So it's really well done. You have drive points. You can spend these drive points to basically do certain things. But it also is what helps you level up as you play the game. So it's really, and I know this looks like a lot of numbers, but the only thing you care about is this total right here. Whatever this total is, you're going to add to a percentile roll, and you're looking for the higher the number, the better. So really well done. Here's the back side of the character sheet. How many hit points? You don't have a whole lot of hit points in this game, and damage is pretty brutal. And like of course they've got the critical hit charts and everything. So this kind of gives you a layout of the character sheet again, so you kind of know where you're going, and they give you page references. So here's your weapons. Chapter 14, pages 176 to 180. That's where your weapons are. So as you're making a character, you can bookmark this page, so you can kind of keep an eye on where you need to go to do what, which I think is really great. Nice blank page. And then book 2 is Trails of Adventure, and again, phenomenal art. And this is basically how you resolve actions, how you do skill rolls, and it's a percentile based game. So, 4 or less is a critical failure. 5 to 74 is a failure. 75 to 99 is a partial success, and it goes on up from there. And so I can see as a GM, at least how my mind works, it won't take me long to remember that, or at least the basics. Knowing that a 4 or less is a critical failure, that's easy to remember. And then a 5 to 75, 74 is a failure, and 75 up to 99 is a success, and then you go for you after doing this a couple of times and making these rolls, you will totally get the hang of this. And then of course modifiers are add or subtract X amount of numbers from there. So if you have a skill of 50 and you have a minus 30 because you're kind of bad at it, or it's a very hard task, you're adding plus 20 to whatever you roll on the dice, plus or minus any other modifiers. But you can start slow, as with any role-playing game that you don't understand the mechanics very well. You use the base rules, and then you add more rules as you play and you learn the mechanics. But like I said, I don't think anything in here is too terribly difficult. Save roll table, and they explain it all. So attack rolls, spellcasting rolls, and then again more whatever that is coming around the corner. All I gotta say is oh shit and run. And of course we go into our magic session and magic points and casting, and here's your success spellcasting table. So there is a number of charts. This is definitely one of those games that I think it would behoove every player to either have a laptop or a tablet at the table, or if their phone is large enough that they're comfortable reading off of it. You want a copy of the book. I would personally say you want a physical copy of the book, but that's just me. I like to support the game companies, and I'm going to obviously have a physical copy in front of me. Not at the time that I run it, but I'll have it on my iPad, and I'll be able to deal with it then. So spell failure, overcasting, you got all your, and there's this awesome chart which I thought was, can you cast that spell? And you go through, it's yes or no, and it's cut and dry. So it's basically, you print this off, you give it to your spellcaster so that they can start going through this before their turn comes around, and they can figure out if they'll be able to cast the spell they want to cast, so that by the time you get to them, they're not going, "Oh, can I cast this spell?" They're gonna know, and so it's pretty solid. Again, I can't say enough about the art. It really sets the tone for the book. The Darkmaster is obviously a bad guy. There's probably some sort of elven city or area, but all kinds of hazards. Everything, again, with the amazing art, economics. Here's our equipment and our wealth, and again, this is all just fleshing out your character, understanding the base economy of the world and the setting. I think it's amazing. And there's equipment, mounts, general gear, all armor and shields. Here's your armor and what it does for you. It's just everything's laid out. Weapons table, as you can see, there's a couple charts, and then I wanted to see, because I don't know how damage actually works. So it's one-handed, the skill is blunt, short attack is blunt, maximum result is 120, primary crit is impact. So, and I believe if it's anything like Rollmaster was, you would consult a chart to see if you're within the crit range of that weapon, and then there would be a chart you would roll on, and then that chart would tell you how much damage you did. If it's been a long time, I may be wrong, but that sounds vaguely familiar because you see there's nothing that says this does D8 hit points. So you're kind of, oh, look at that. Another just awesome piece of art right there. So there we go into our combat. So we know how combat works. Let's see if we can find the damage section. There's our attacks. Max result. Damage type. Damage type of an attack determines which is able to roll should the attack land a critical strike. Okay, so there you go. If the result of modified attack roll is a number different from 0, for example 7, that's the base damage of the attack. And that many points may be subtracted from the current target's hit points. So yeah, so you're going for the difference between the if the result of the modified attack roll is a number different from 0, for example 7, then that's how much damage. Yeah, and if the modified result is 0, the attack hits but does no damage due to the scant power or the target's armor deflecting the foe. So yeah, so pretty much there you go. It sounds a little kludgy, but once you start rolling through this, you'll be down with it, and it'll all make sense. And it's just like any other game. You'll roll with it, and you'll start to know. You'll know your crit range for your weapon and what you're trying to hit. And obviously, higher is better. And if you run up against a heavily armored foe, it's going to be harder to wound them. And it's going to take longer to whittle them down. We got arcs of attack, different combat actions. So health and healing. I like that they use the same character styles. Like we saw the young lady with the art on her face. She was in the very beginning of the book and on the cover, I believe. So, very cool there. Potions, soul damage, everything. Tales of Legend. I mean, look at the art. It's just cool. This is your Game Master section. This is all for, guys like me. Preparing combat to pitch NPCs, and then some random NPC quirks, so if you're trying to figure out something, and this is stuff that's good for other games. Like I can steal this and use this in my Pathfinder game. In fact, I may even very much do that, cut that out, print that page, cut it out, and just stick it in my GM screen, or put it on my little table. So that's pretty solid. Hordes of mooks. I love the mooks. Awesome art right there. More awesome art. Yeah, so almost gives me that Dungeon Crawl Classic feel. But again, also if you remember any of the Rollmaster books, they had very similar art. It's very much an homage to that. So there's I guess that would probably be a hag or a demon of some kind. I don't know. I don't want to run into her. So yeah, there's the Darkmaster again. He's got the player characters in the palm of his hand because he's trying very hard to ruin them. I love the layout with the black style and everything. The Witch Queen of Despair. So all kinds of stuff. Good stuff here. The Blood Lord of... These are all, I guess, the major NPCs and minions of the Darkmaster. So dark sorcery, necromancy, just all kinds of cool stuff. And then, of course, more GM stuff running the game. All your modifiers, character death, because, hey, it's gonna happen. And I like that. I like games that you have mortality. I feel like D&D it's really hard to kill a character in D&D. Even in Pathfinder, it's pretty hard, although I've come close. It seems like, but I mean, it's supposed to be a heroic game where the players are the heroes, and so you're just supposed to, as the GM, you're supposed to challenge them. And I think this game is going to give the players a very good, hard challenge. So I mean, just again, look at the layout. I mean, look at that art. That's fantastic. That's what is he sitting on? Oh, it's his horse rearing up, and it's a unicorn. Or it's just a horse with some sort of faceplate. I don't even know what that is he's fighting, but it looks gnarly, whatever it is. I'm trying to see if there's a bestiary in here, because I haven't gone through the whole PDF. So you guys are kind of getting a treat as you explore it with me. Magic items. I'm glad to see that they include some. They say there's going to be more books too in the series. They're going to produce a bunch more stuff. There's the typical dragon horde. You can't beat that. Blank page. The bestiary. Here we go. So yeah, here's going to be our monsters. And Bogart, evil little demons. Well, you can't beat that. That doesn't look nice. Werewolf. That's awesome. Vampires. Balrog. Dragons. I wanted to see how they were going to do their dragons. Lindworms. So yeah, we got the different types of dragons. So dragon spawn, which is good. So you want to run your dragon lance. You got your dragon spawns right here. You can do so. Very cool there. Duergar, your evil man. There's your ring wraith. I don't know what that is. Fellwing. That looks gnarly, whatever it is. So very cool things in here. The art is fantastic. There's a giant. Oh, that doesn't look nice. Giant eagles, giant spiders. I love giant spiders. I love to torture my players with spiders. Oh my God, the kraken. Nice. Murloc. All kinds of nightmare. Wow. Awesome. Very well done. Orcs. So you can play an orc, but there's also evil orcs, which are some of the favored minions of the Darkmaster, as well as humans, because humans are easily corrupted because they all want power. So yeah, lots of cool things. I'm definitely looking forward to diving deep into this over the next week. I know I'm going through kind of fast, but YouTube allows you to slow it down, and you can go a little slower if you want to read some of this. But yeah, just amazing art. The grimoire. So here's your spell lores. Magic is handled as a lore, and then within that lore you learn powers. So these are fifth aspect of the fox. Blah blah blah. So channeling, chanting, cleansing, commanding presence. So you're not going to be slinging a ton of spells, but the spells you do have, you will be able to use. So communion, detection. So there's all different these lores that you can get. So you're not tied to one single lore, although you can focus on one in particular if you so desire. I'm not sure how the levels work. So we see first, second, third, fourth. I'm not quite sure how that works yet. The weave. I know the weave is like basically the spell level, but I don't know how, up to what weave can you cast. Like, I'm basically a new character. Can I cast a 4th level spell? Can I cast Wall of Fire? I believe I can. It just, if it's above my level or whatever, it makes it more difficult to cast. So +1 weave, increase range by 2 meters. +1 weave, instead of its normal effect, the spell will extinguish a fire covering an area up to 1.5 meters of radius within range. So yeah, I think you can overcast or undercast, and it just makes the spell either more difficult or easier to cast. So whole bunch of spells. You can see we got pages and pages of it. All kinds of cool stuff. I'm just trying to get past this. I don't want to go too fast because I don't want to pass anything up. Necromancy. Well, that I'll be making a mage that's a necromancer for the Darkmaster. Shadows of the Northern Woods. So this is the adventure. Now, let me see. Yeah, so this is the adventure in and of itself. So I don't know if it's exactly the same that what's in the book, if they just made it separate. I'm not sure. I haven't gone through it. I had the other PDF. I thought if we had time we would go through it. So it looks like we've got some NPCs. I don't want to spoil anything. Some of the art is recycled, and that's fine. There's our layout. This is an adventure. So Willow Lake. So the Beast of Willow Lake. So yeah, this could be cool. I can run this for the players as an entry-level adventure. All kinds of cool stuff. I don't want to go too slow on this because I want you to buy the book, basically, is what it boils down to. Into the Anwin. So all kinds of NPC stats. All right, Athelstane the Black. I think these are the pre-generated characters that you can use, which I'm going to print out. Yes, they are, and I'm going to print these out, and I'm going to have these available for the players to use if we decide not to make physical characters, and we want to just use these to dive right into it. So you see, each page has about 4 pages. And these are the iconic characters that are in the book throughout the book. So there's the young lady with the tattoos on her face. Obviously, she is a animist. So yeah. So, and you can see here's her skill totals and stuff. So these are all new characters, beginning level characters. So they're not going to be amazing. But she has some cool abilities. She has lots of lores. I mean, what's her highest lore? 75 in healer. So obviously this is basically the cleric of the group. So you want to protect her. And of course, you have her character sheet with all of her stuff. And then, Madoc the Cunning. I wonder if this is it says he's a rover, so kind of a ranger / maybe a thief. Culture. Yeah, he's a rogue. Vocation is rogue. So, yeah. So there you go. Everything you need. And then, of course, Gandrel Windblade. I believe he's an elf. Dusk elf. And he's a warrior. So, yeah, I mean, we've got all of our basic classes. Mornin the Fair. She's a wizard. So, let's see what her lore. Yeah, Arcana is her highest lore at 65. So, obviously, she's going to be slinging some spells. You can see she's got no armor or shields. She has a sword, which is another nice thing I like. I love games that do... not like D&D where, you can't use a sword unless you she can use a sword. She may not be very good at it, but she can use a sword. And then, of course, here's all of her spells. So, starting with a +50 for Eldritch Fire. I don't know what Eldritch Fire does, but I'm pretty sure it's not good. And illusions and mind control. So, you can see she's kind of a one-trick pony. She's got a little bit of spells. But, she's got, 6 starting spells? 1, 2, 3, 5. So I don't think anybody had a whole bunch. And then we have Tobold the Ferret Mistletoe. Obviously a halfling. He's also a rogue. So you have your 2 different styles of rogue. You have the more combat-oriented rogue, and I think this guy will probably be the more sneaky rogue. Roguery. 85 and 90 for 90 in stealth. Yeah, this is your stealthy rogue. And then, of course, you can see... all their stuff, and then the game tables. So here's edged attack, and this is why we used to call it Chartmaster. So this is what you're going to look at, and then non-applicable, light, moderate, and hard, I believe, and that'll be the damage. And I don't know what these abbreviations are, but I'm sure they're obviously pointed out in the book. And so what you can do here is if you have an edged weapon, you just print this page and you keep it next to your character sheet. So a little chart mastery, but still, obviously if you're going to do it, you've got it all there. Missile attacks, unarmed grapple attacks, area spells, bolt spells. So your mage, your cleric, your animist, they're all going to be covered there. Nice picture of a spell casting right there. Beast attack, so for all your critters, that's what they roll off of. And then your critical strikes, your impact, everything tells you right here. So a little bit Chartmaster, but again, once you start playing this game and you get the idea, and again, if you do a lot of fire-based spells, you're going to print this sheet off and you're going to keep it next to you, or you're going to cut this little section out, print the page and cut this out and maybe tape it to your binder or something like that. You're going to, on a 3x5 card or whatever, and you're going to have it close at hand. So lightning, frost, dark magic, the GM's obviously going to want that. I do have the PDF of the GM screen, but I haven't actually gone through it. Kind of flipped through it real quick, and it's just a PDF. I don't believe it contained the art that'll be on the front of the GM screen. It was just the inserts, and it was like 26 pages or something like that. So it's pretty herky, a lot of GM information. It'll be like a binder. Because again, I hate to make the reference, but Chartmaster, you're going to have a bunch of different stuff you're going to be looking at. I'm curious to see what the GM screen is going to have. But here's all your tables for your action, your save rolls. Again, that magic this is all, you could print this last part and put this in a binder for your GM. And I think the GM screen is going to have this already done. So I'm pretty sure I saw some of this already. So again, very well done. A good use of art. There's not too much art. There's not too little art. So I like that. I don't like looking at pages and pages and pages of text and then one tiny little piece of art in the corner. That annoys me. So NPC quirks again, handy dandy reaction tables. These are basically like generic NPCs. So if you're first level, this is, you would use this line as a generic NPC, and then it just goes through with all of them. So wizard spell lore is basically everything listed out. So I gotta say, I'm pretty stoked about this. I'm just zipping through. Oh, and then here's, there's that, like I said, you print it out and give it to your wizard. But here's the character sheet that you could print and give to your players. And we're looking at three pages. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3-page character sheet, and then of course the back of the book. So let's see if that adventure was the same thing, which I'm hazarding a guess it is exactly the same thing. The art, I don't remember. I believe it is. Yeah, it's the same thing. So this is just the cutout. So for those of us that don't have the book, and I'm tempted to print a copy of it and just have it at my hand. So yeah, this is just the there's all the pre-gens. So yeah, so there you go, guys. That is Against the Darkmaster by Open-Ended Games. D100 percentile based system. All you need is 2d10s. I think it looks amazing. I'm very interested to see how it plays on the table, and I think I will do I'm not going to record this session just because I don't have the setup for it, and we've tried recording in the past and it just doesn't come out, and nobody wants to watch them. They're some of the least viewed sessions I have. So I'm not going to try to record. I don't have the Critical Role set up or the one roll, all those guys that do that professional recording, and they have thousands of dollars for the lighting, and everybody has their own camera, and I don't have all that. It's just me. So but I will do an after action report of what I thought about the game as it ran, and I know my players are probably going to want to make characters, and I'm okay with that. I think the character creation section is very interesting. So we're gonna look forward to it, and look forward to the after action report. So that's pretty much, it's a buy in my book. If you see this on the game shelf at your local favorite game store, pick it up. I think it's worth it. If you were a fan of Rollmaster or Harp, then you're gonna love this. I think it's a faster version. At least that's the way I'm kind of reading it right now. Is it's gonna play and run a little faster than like Rollmaster and Chartmaster did. Rollmaster, the nickname was Chartmaster, or Harp, which was a derivative of Rollmaster. Just came out a little later. So yeah, it is a buy in Mr. Mean's book. I'm very glad I picked this up, and I'm excited to get my physical rewards when they come in the mail. So this is the end of the video. If you don't want to hang around for my babbling about my channel and everything, you can go ahead and drop off here, and I appreciate you watching, and thank you very much. And always, peace and hair grease. And Mr. Mean says be nice. So now, end of the video, we made it through. It's awesome. I wanted to obviously give a shout out at the beginning of the video, which I did, but I'm able to do this through the donations that you guys provide, and it means a lot. It helps out a lot. Camera equipment breaks, microphones break, that kind of thing, and they have to be replaced, and they cost money. So the donations help. I have a Patreon account. It's you can see it there in the upper left hand corner of the screen. It's $5 a month. That gets you a special color on Discord, so everybody knows that you're a part of the Meanie Army and you back Mr. Mean, and I do appreciate it. It also puts you in a drawing every so often. I get games or whatever that I don't need in my collection, or I've upgraded to a newer version, whatever the case may be. Sometimes publishers send me extra copies I'll do a raffle for my Patreons, and then I will contact you via Patreon because you have to put your email in there, and I'll send you a copy of the game at my expense. So that's just one way to thank you and a little incentive. Also, every month I do an episode of That Game, which I will reach out to my Patreons and see who's available to record, and I'll get you on the channel to talk about the one game that's influenced you in some way, shape, or form. We've done about 4 sessions now, and it's been pretty awesome. So very excited. I like doing it a lot. We talk about games that maybe people haven't heard of or whatever. So it's a lot of fun. Usually last about an hour, hour and a half. So not too much out of your day. The other thing is also ZellyPay. If you don't want to do the Patreon route, or you're not a fan of Patreon and you want to just do a donation, you can do ZellyPay if you're in the United States. It's banked into your mobile banking for the most part. But it's Zelly, ZELLEPAY.com. And you can always send a donation to the channel at jpolack, that's JPOLACK at gmail.com. You can also do PayPal Pay Me. The links are on my YouTube page. If you go to the home page there in the upper middle right side of the screen there, you'll see all the links for my Patreon, my Discord. I have a Discord channel. I'm on there most of the time, so drop in. Love having you there. Love to talk about games. If there's something you want to see reviewed or talked about, drop me a line on Discord. Let's talk about it, and I'll see if I can fit it into the rotation. And then there's, of course, at the bottom of the screen here, you can see my Drive-Thru RPG affiliate link. That is another way to support the channel. If you're going to buy PDFs or buy physical books through Drive-Thru RPG, please use that link. I get a little bit of a kickback. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it really helps out the channel. So that's really about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you consider becoming either using the affiliate link or becoming a Patreon. And by all means, please join the Discord. Let's talk about games. So, as always, peace and hair grease. And remember, Mr. Mean says, be nice.